Welcome to Midnight Coffee with Faisal. It's a very good morning, Sunday morning here in Malaysia. And for those who are regular with us, I wish you a welcome back. And for those who are watching us for the first time, I bid you a huge welcome. Yeah. Okay. If you are viewing this live, please shout out in the box as to where you are viewing this live from. Yeah. And if you have any questions or any opinions or any thoughts that you want us to take through with our panel today for our discussion tonight, please, by all means, please pen it down in the comment section. Yeah. Okay. My name is Faisal. I'm an independent management consultant and a business project management coach that help clients to improve or implement solutions in their project. And you might be asking why I use the word business project management, because every time when I introduce myself as a project management coach or a project manager or project leader, everyone will have a perception that I work I work within the industry like construction or IT or even to a certain degree manufacturing. And that's the reason why I put the word business, project management in front of the as a coach, yeah. And the reason why project management is actually it's not new, yeah. Project management is not new, and those who perceive that is part of the construction industry and all things are not wrong, yeah. They are not wrong, because project management started way back during the scientific management era, yeah, and has been with many organizations for a very long period. It's just that in 2019, when we were hit by the whole world was hit by a pandemic, and the business environment and the whole business like standstill or close to standstill, organizations are looking at new models and new management models to do things the new way. Yeah. And project management do provide organization with an alternative, yeah, with an alternative management model where businesses no longer as usual, and a lot of things are being done in a very adaptive and agile way. Because in 2020, when the whole world was struck by the pandemic, there are so much uncertainties. Yeah, there's a lot of ambiguity within the operating environment, and the whole business is rather complex. Yeah, running the business is rather complex. So, project management, to a certain degree, do allow organization to manage their businesses. Yeah, to manage their businesses in a new way. Yeah, in the new way. So, what is midnight coffee? Basically, midnight coffee is a laid back session. Yeah, it's a laid back session with me and my guest that I invite on a weekly basis, where I talk to ordinary people. Yeah, ordinary people that are taking extraordinary actions in their personal or their professional career. Yeah, in growing themselves, yeah, in growing themselves. So the topic that we're going to discuss today is very much relevant to all of us, where we talk about during the pandemic and post-pandemic, and where the whole world can't even move the product and produce. So food security has become a center stage, yeah, has taken a center stage during the pandemic, and now organization or countries, in fact, major economies are looking at it from the threat of food security that is occurring globally. So I will let my dear friend, Dr. Shaufique, to introduce himself. So without much ado, I will invite Dr. Shaufique to the show. Yeah. Welcome, Dr. Shaufique. Dr. Shaufique, how are you?
Hi, I'm good, Faisal. Yeah, it's this is not my usual time. I'm normally in bed by 12, but let's see how it goes.
Thank you for accommodating us and joining us on Midnight Coffee. Okay, Dr. Shaufique, can you like introduce yourself to the viewers, please?
Um, my name is Shafiq. I I'm a faculty at UPM. More specifically, I'm a professor at the School of Business and Economics, at Universiti Putra Malaysia. Um, my research specialization is agricultural resource economics. Um, I have I started my career at UPM in 2008 after my PhD. I did a
Mm.
PhD in agricultural economics in Michigan State University. Um, right after graduation, I'm back. Came back to Malaysia and joined UPM, where my career started. My initial work was, although I studied agricultural economics, but most of my research um, was mainly in environmental economics. So, agricultural economics is a very broad field. There are so many specializations.
Mm.
One of which is which I specialized in my school was environmental resource economics. Other specializations that fall under agriculture or agricultural economics include production economics, agribusiness, um, what else? I can't even remember. Marketing, so many specializations. What development economics also fall under agricultural economics department. At Michigan State, other universities might have different specialization, but Michigan State was and I think is still one of the uh, largest top uh, agricultural economics department in the U.S. So, given the reputation and also uh, the number of faculties that they have in the department, they are still able to offer, large specializations. So that was primarily my work over there. That was, like I said earlier, I did mostly. I specialize in environmental resource economics, doing work mostly in the field of environmental economics. When I came back um, to UP, when UPM joined UPM, I started in the agriculture faculty, and then from and then I went and I also joined before joining the faculty of economics or now the School of Business. I also joined an institute. Um, uh, it's called Institute Kajian Dasar Pertanian dan Makanan from English. Um, Agriculture and Food Policy Studies Institute, Institute of Agriculture and Food Policy Studies. That is where I grew my career. I started off as a head of laboratory, I think it was in 2010, and then 2014 I was made the director of that institute until almost 2020, almost 6 years. So
Mm-hmm.
from environmental economics work, which more specifically I was working on recycling and waste management. I
That's
I
interesting.
did more work. I was working on my thesis, my PhD thesis was in recycling and waste management. If you look at some of my publications, earlier publications were in the field of looking at recycling and waste management topics. Even until recently, I still have students, not students, one student on. Right now, I have a student still working on e-waste. Sorry, it was not e-waste. Um, that was a different one. Looking at trying to think of an appropriate description of what he's doing. We're looking at sensor technology in waste collection. Right, so
Okay.
pretty advanced. I mean, that's probably the most advanced stuff that I've done in waste management and recycling. That's about the only student that is still working in that area. I have a few more before this. So, but then again, being the Institute of Agricultural Policy Studies, so I had to do more work on agriculture. That was where I started looking into various fields in agriculture. I started off mostly fisheries before moving into oil palm, looking at sustainability.
Okay.
Yep. So these are a pretty not the best way to. If you ask me, as an academic, you're supposed to very specialized. I mean, that's optimal. If you do one or two things and not spread yourself too thin, you probably be more productive, I would say. At
Okay.
least being able to produce better work, better academic work.
Okay.
But I didn't have much choice. I mean, I was given the task of running an institute, which has got to do with agriculture, so I couldn't be doing work only in recycling and waste management. So I
Yeah.
had to
Okay.
look into agriculture, and there are also other
Sorry.
strategic reasons. Um, when I was working on waste management, I go to landfills. It's not very, I would say, appealing. When I came back, I see some of my colleagues looking at tourism, and they get to go to all these nice places. Go to all these
I
islands,
see.
Taman
Yeah.
Negara, and
Yeah.
so on and so forth. So I was thinking to myself, the first thing that I did when I came back, UPM was pretty flush with money at that time. So all new faculties who joined were given a grant. I think more than 30,000. I think 35,000. If I was not mistaken, maybe 30,000. I can't remember exactly, but it was everybody practically who joined practically got it. Even if you do not want to apply, they will force you to apply and you will get it.
They force you to apply.
So yeah,
But
I mean
I
UPM.
have a photo here. I have a photo here. Can you describe? Is this part of the research program that you are doing?
Where is the photo? I can see it.
It's on the. It is on the screen. Kita nampak.
Uh, uh, Let me see. Maybe it's on Facebook. Just see. Because I have my phone here. I can look at Facebook. The video is live, but it's not live. Oh no, that one's different. That one was my trip to Montpellier. That was recent. I was giving a lecture on
Oh,
agriculture transformation. That was I got the Erasmus Mobility grant. So
okay.
and and I gave a lecture on I was not mistaken, on agricultural transformation, which was
Oh, that's good.
sorry,
No, no, which is good. Which is good.
which was
Go ahead.
from my work, the work that I did with the World Bank,
Uh-huh.
looking at agricultural transformation and food security.
Okay.
Going back to
So,
the going back to what I was telling you just now, the grant that I got. So the first grant that I got was I mean, I wrote a grant asking for funding to work on recycling still, and then I realized that other people are traveling to nice places. Well, I went abroad. UK again was extremely flush with funding at that time. When I got back, those were the good times.
mhm,
You know, the government was spending a lot of money to encourage research, and a lot of funds were allocated to all the research universities. So we also get to go abroad. I mean, everybody can apply for grant to go
mm,
and present papers abroad. I remember going to Crete Island on a on a waste for a waste management conference, and after that I realized that, you know what, I I didn't I I didn't decide to to do other things yet until I was at the institute. I was asked to look into a grant application in fisheries, and I realized that, hey, if I work on fisheries, I get to go to beaches and and islands, and so that was when I decided to spend more time in, that was my introduction to agriculture.
uh-huh.
Well, yeah, but that was not. I mean, that was in Malaysia. It was not the first time. When I was in the States, I did some work on agriculture. I was looking at
Mhm,
nitrate and simazine leaching in Mission Tat cherry production up north. I
mhm.
remember I was working on it for one semester. I was taken in as a research assistant on the project. Yeah, I mean, these are some of the things that I, and of course, after that, after fisheries, there were many projects that I've been involved in, and until today. So the major work that I do right now is definitely agriculture. I have no regrets, but yeah, if you ask me what I wish I could have done was be a bit more specialized. I think that would be, you would have a more concentrated stream of output.
Okay. So, with the pandemic, yeah, hitting the whole world, and now a lot of economies or countries opening up the borders and all those things. Uh, they were talk about food security and sustainability issue about agriculture and all those things. So, how do you fit within this agriculture transformation that you have just said just now? How does it being going on now, the whole world or a global stage, and in specific, since you are the so-called the agriculture expert in Malaysia, where everybody refers to you, and so how do
I
you
would
see?
say that, but I'm among the few. I mean, not necessarily because I'm extremely good at it, but because there are not many people doing it, and naturally, the pool of resources in this field is pretty small. So you get referred to, time and again, but to say that I am, you know, an expert. Well, I know of things, but I'm not gonna call myself expert because I'm pretty good in some things, but not in because the field is a huge field. There are so many things that you cannot claim to be an expert in, in
So
general.
how do you see the
Okay,
agriculture transformation that
okay,
is going?
okay. If you these are agricultural transformation is, of course, the pandemic would definitely have an impact on transformation. But for a country like Malaysia, I don't think it disrupts the transformation. Scare on food security was there initially, but that was mainly on the availability of supply. Now, I think that everybody has to understand that food security is not just about having, well, of course, having enough food on the table, uh, which people always equate to having enough supply or enough production in the country. Uh, but that's not always. I mean, that's not the only requirement of food security. Food security also requires that you actually afford the food. You can be a large producer of food, but if the population or the people in your country are mostly poor, then security will not be. You're not going to have good food security. Food security level is not going to be high. Malaysia is ranked around, I cannot remember exactly, maybe 28, 30, something like that. We are ranked higher than Thailand, when Thailand is actually a better producer than us. Now, the reason being is very simple. Per capita GDP, Malaysia is higher. Prevalence of poverty is lower. Poverty rate is lower in Malaysia. We have better distribution channels and so on and so forth. That resulted in higher food security level. Singapore, for example, has higher. Singapore, I think 2 years ago, was the most food secure nation in the world. Singapore doesn't really produce the food that they buy, but food security is very high because they can afford to buy. Number one. Number two is Singapore is a small island. It's very easy for them to manage distribution and income of the people. Pretty high. People can afford to buy food. Social safety nets there. I think government is able to take care of. There's no poverty. I mean, there are poor people, I'm very sure, but not to an extent where they will be dying of hunger. So this is how it works. Yeah, there are so many other countries with if you look at caloric production less than 100%. What do we mean by that? Or self-sufficiency level less than 100%, meaning that do not produce everything that they eat, but still are very highly food secure, with reasons that I have mentioned earlier. You know, they can afford to buy. Okay, with the onset of having said, COVID almost put a scare, because there were disruptions in the distribution channels, there were port closures and so on and so forth. So people were worried that we might not be able to import the food that we need to consume. I give you a very simple example. People were worried about we're not going to have enough rice. The self-sufficiency level for rice in Malaysia is around 70%, 68%, if I'm not mistaken. So we need to import around 30% of what we consume because we don't produce enough. Even if we produce enough, we still need to import because not everybody eats local rice. A lot of people buy poni, basmati, beras wangi, and so on and so forth. So, but if we produce enough at difficult time, you don't have to eat your beras basmati. You can only eat the normal rice.
Yeah, that's right.
So people were worried at that time that we couldn't source rice from Vietnam or Thailand or India. But it was a slight disruption. It didn't happen, and I was asked during that time whether we're going to have enough I did a very simple calculation. You just, you know, uh, there are rice in the supermarkets. Unless people go on a buying frenzy at that time, everybody went to the supermarket and cleaned the shelves. Then maybe we're going to have a bit of a problem. But if buying continues as usual,
Yeah.
and there's no big buying, and you have enough stock on the shelves, you have stocks in the warehouse, you have stocks in the mill, you have stocks in granary areas. You remember, we're still planting paddy, waiting to be harvested. From my calculation at that time, even if you cannot import, you can, we'll have a couple of months. We have enough for more than 6 months. Now, paddy is an annual crop. You plant it twice a year. You just need to plant. But of course, you cannot increase hectarage because paddy is an irrigated crop. You can only plant it in paddy fields. Cannot simply go and plant it anywhere you like.
Yeah.
Technology. There's we have non-irrigated paddy, but the yield is probably not as good. Probably we don't have the technology. I mean, I'm not saying that we don't have. I mean, don't have as yet don't have, but the technology is not feasible at this point in time. So you still rely on binary areas for production. So you can continue producing, and by that time we have to remember the countries that we buy from. They are not selling to us because of port closure. Once the port opens, they will start sending their shipment. So why worry? Now, even if there is a shortage, there was once a shortage in 2008 where commodity prices went up. I wouldn't say a shortage, it was price going up. It was but we're talking about annual crop. We can just increase production. Next cycle, you can see people producing a lot more, and supply is being restored. It's not perennial crop, It's not like oil palm where you have to plant and wait for 4 years to harvest. Wheat, maize, you can always plant a bit more. I mean, that's how it works. So if you ask me about the pandemic, if it's going to affect food security, it will affect food security, not from the production perspective, but to me, mostly will be on people not being able to afford food because they've lost their jobs and whatnot. So that is where the problems are, not really from a production perspective. Yeah. And if you talk about transformation, transformation is a slightly different topic. It's looking at how agriculture evolves over time. I'm not sure if you want to listen to this, but in the 50s or 60s, the 60s, agriculture contributes to around 40% Malaysian GDP. Today it's only around 7%, which is good. We want that to happen. Because if you see advanced countries, France, for an example, America, agriculture contribution to GDP is around 1 to 2%, meaning that agriculture has completely transformed in those nations. So people probably been thinking, if you look at percentage, agriculture is only 2% of GDP. Well, yeah, in terms of percentage, but in terms of value has gone up over time. But because other sectors are growing faster, so the percentage is small. See, if agriculture contributes 30% of our GDP, then we are not going to be what we are today. We're going to be like in the 60s. You wouldn't know that.
Yeah.
Agriculture is primary production. if you produce, let's say, pineapples and you just consume it raw, well, yeah, I mean, what are the economic activities? Well, you plant, harvest, you sell, you chop pineapples and sell in fruit form. Well, it's good. I mean, it's healthy to eat fruit. But if you let's say if you process it, you can it, you turn it into pineapple juice. Um, there'll be higher value added in that activity. You
Mhm.
generate more economic wealth, more economic activities. You have to employ more people. So this is how it works. If agriculture, the stages of those products, if you can elongate them or increase the value chain, then definitely you can increase national income. So this is what you want. So
Yeah.
agriculture is a primary production, but if you stop at prime production and just export agriculture output raw, then will not help uh, increase the nation's income by that much. But if it enters into processing and manufacturing, yes, it will generate more economic wealth.
So, as the question just now, I mean the point about the agriculture transformation. So, what sort of activities, transformation activities that the current Malaysian government is putting in place, especially post pandemic now, where we are opening up the borders. I think recently they have opened up all the the borders and all those things, and people are moving around and all those things. And I think a lot of businesses are opening up itself, although there are a lot of businesses are shutting down as well. So, but in terms of agriculture, like the transformation, in terms of making sure that we have enough for the population, and also how do we go about making sure that it's a sustainable production, like what you said. It's not about just not having food, but making sure that the whole population can also afford. Yeah. So, and not only the current generation, but also the future generation. So maybe you can share some thoughts on that, or things that that are going through, those that you can share.
Yeah. See, to complete that transformation process, we have to make sure that a few areas are taken good care of. First of all, food security. We have to ensure food security of the nation. We have to ensure the smallholder sector of agriculture being taken care of as well. Now, if you understand Malaysian agriculture, there's duality in Malaysian agriculture. It consists of small and large producers. Um,
Yeah.
it's dichotomous. It's dichotomous in the sense, meaning that you have small producers and large producers. And there is another level of dichotomy. You also have plantation crops or industrial crops and food crops. So if you notice, we have two different ministries looking at agriculture at Malaysia. We have Ministry of Plantation Industry,
Ah.
and we have Ministry of Agriculture and Food Industry. Both are agriculture, but one's looking at plantation commodities like rubber and oil palm, and another one is looking at production of food crops, food commodities, looking at um, paddy, uh, looking at fruits, vegetables, livestock, fisheries. Now, and I'm not sure if you realize this, but 90% of our agriculture land is allocated for oil palm production, only 10% for other things. So yeah,
Oh, really? That's
Yes, and
interesting. So discovery. Can you share if you are?
well, it's a discovery. It's a one fact in case you don't notice. I mean, if you
No.
fly. Okay, I think we cannot remember exactly, but we have close to 6 million hectares on oil palm. We have around only 600,000 hectares on paddy. So that is only 10%. So
Okay.
almost yeah, and other crops. We have vegetables. We have now in Musangking and whatnot. But um, if you work out the statistics, you're going to see that land allocation is very much skewed towards industrial crop. We used to have a lot of rubber. Okay, Malaysia started with rubber. This is why if you want to talk about transformation, you have to understand history. We were colonized by the Brits. The British were not interested in producing food for this country. They were interested in producing the crops that would benefit Britain to help
Hmm.
to speed up the. Oh, is it very blurry still?
Yeah.
My
Yeah. Yeah.
is it blurry?
Yeah.
Oh man, how do I?
Maybe you can disconnect from your what you call that, from your earpiece,
Maybe
and maybe disconnect. That goes.
let me try to
Yeah.
do this. Is this better?
This. Yes. This better. Much better. Yeah. Alright.
Is this all right?
Yes. Very much better, Dr. Shafiq. Thank
Okay,
you
one
very
second.
much.
This is
Now, since it's very clear, I have to remove this. All right. Yeah.
uh
So,
hello.
yeah. Yeah. I can hear you. Okay. Can you hear me?
Okay, but I cannot hear Dr. Faisal.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Can I get a
All right.
shout out from Dr. Faisal? Because I can't hear nothing from him.
Yeah. Yeah. I can
Okay,
hear
let me
you.
just do this. Yeah, maybe I need to. Yeah, I'm not connected. I'm not connected. But why am I not hearing anything from him?
I just text you.
Yeah, but I cannot hear you,
Okay.
Dr.
Okay. Okay. This
Faisal.
this is this one thing I
Can you
love.
say something?
Yeah. I'm saying a lot of things. But it's okay, Dr. Shafi. If it means that you need to
Technical
put back,
problem.
yeah, if you need to put back your,
Okay, you guys can hear me, but I cannot hear Dr. Faisal. So
it's okay. No problem.
is it possible? I cannot leave and come back again, right? Can I do
Yeah,
that?
yeah, we can take a short, break here. I will put on something, and then we will come back after this short break when we sort it out. Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Dr. Shafiq. Yeah. Well, here you are, and this is the beauty of the challenges of doing a live show. Yeah, and sometimes technical things that happen, not from our end, from the studio end, and but it's more from the guest end. Yeah, so sometimes, um, as they said, happens. But that's what life is all about. Live streaming, and I really enjoy it, and it's how we look at it from what should I get, from opportunity standpoint. So let me try to bring back Dr. Shaufiq back, yeah, and see whether the connectivity is okay. His internet connection is very bad right now. Yeah. Just let me try and bring him, because there are few questions that I would like Dr. Shafiq to look at. Doctor, are you with me now? Can you hear me, Dr. Shafiq? Can you hear me? Hello, Dr. Shafiq, you're frozen. So without the airport is okay, it's good, yeah, much better. But there's a question here: is that have you disconnected your airport? I think yes. I think I think we have lost Dr. Shaufique. Is frozen, and his internet connection is very bad. Has gone. The meter is showing very red. So we got disconnected from him. So while waiting for Dr. Shaufique to join us back, if he is able, yeah, if he's able, and what we'll do is we'll talk about some of the things that is running within the country, yeah. And as you can see that the borders are opening up, and all those people are now looking at moving about. uh, okay, Dr. Shafiq is back. Yeah, let me bring back Dr. Shafiq is back. Yeah, Dr. Shafiq, are you back? Can you hear me?
Yeah. This time I'm not using my AirPod anymore. I think that's screwed everything up. All right. So I was, but I saw a message just now saying that, uh, yeah, border closures did,
Yeah,
disrupt, but it was temporary. It was just a very short, concern, but after that everything was open. I'm not going to deny there was some spikes in prices. Actually, right now, if you look at right now, commodity prices have been going up a bit, and prices of imports have gone up because of increase in freight charges. Freight charges have tripled since January. Uh, reasons being containers being used for medical supplies and some really weird reasons, but these are all temporary. Eventually countries will have to trade. If you look at Vietnam, it's a huge surplus of paddy production. So what are they going to do if they don't export it out?
okay.
They
Yeah.
still have to do that, right? So it will move back to it'll find its equilibrium. Um, Disruptions are temporary. We didn't see that happen during the height of the pandemic. I was I'm not gonna lie, I was a bit worried initially, but after further investigation, we found out that there's nothing that we should be worried about. There were no threats from our major suppliers. They didn't say that they are going to stop supply. The ones that are banning exports are the ones that are not too significant for us at that
Ah,
time. So it didn't disrupt anything, nothing much, nothing much. I mean, slight small disruptions, but not significant enough to cause any real damage, if you ask me. And you also have to remember the demand has also demand went down pretty rapidly because of the pandemic. Uh, People cannot go out. Restaurants were not operating. Hotels were closed. No events. No nothing. So the demand also have gone down. Institutional demand went down. So it played out pretty well together. Okay, going back to what I was explaining about
okay.
about Alpha. Yeah.
Right.
So
Thank you, Sima, for the question. Yeah. Yeah. Right. Go ahead, Dr. Shafiq. Please.
yeah, I was talking about land allocation for oil palm production, right? Yeah, it's pretty skewed towards that, and it's quite ironic, given that oil palm was started because we wanted to diversify away from rubber.
Ah.
And that was the recommendation. That was one of the recommendations by the World Bank. We were concerned. They were concerned that Malaysia was using too much of our land for rubber production, and there were shocks in rubber prices, and
Mhm.
we were not diversified to withstand those kind of shocks. Imagine if you put all your eggs in one basket, you're only producing rubber. There's a huge fall in rubber prices. At that time, there were the creation of synthetic rubber and whatnot. So we we had to find another crop to diversify. We decided to to go into oil palm, and ironically, now we are too concentrated in oil palm production. We have to again think of a way to diversify. 90% of our land only on one crop is probably not the smartest thing to do, if you ask me. And I said, you also have to understand history. Why are we very biased towards plantation commodities instead of food? You have to go back to the colonial times. We were colonized by the Brits, of course, by other people before, but significant time was during the British. The British were not really interested in producing food for us. They were more interested in rubber and tin because
Yeah.
they needed those materials for to speed up industrialization, also to for 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 World War, right?
Yeah. Correct. Yes, that's right.
And they don't eat rice. They're probably not too interested in rice production. Look at the canals in granary area like Kedah, for an example. The major one was what, Terusan One Mat Saman Canal, which was not built by the Brits. I mean, I'm no historian, but doesn't look like it was really built by the British. The British, yeah, I'm not saying that they completely neglected, but it was not their main priority. So
Mm-hmm.
that was history. Maybe they had tea in Cameron Highlands, but they drink a lot of tea, right? So they probably don't mind planting something that they consume.
All right.
But this perpetuated until today.
Ah.
But also because it's a lucrative industry. Um, it, I mean, I'm not. I'm not saying that it's a mistake. It managed to uplift poverty. It helps to all palm.
Yeah.
It's done a lot to the country. The value chain is completely is very well developed. There are so many products out of it. Not only your cooking oil. There are so many other things you
Correct.
produce. It's a major commodity. Generated a lot of wealth for the nation. But like all good things, it doesn't perpetuate.
Doesn't last.
Yeah, it doesn't last.
Mhm.
You have to think of an alternative now. This is something that we really have to think about.
Okay.
So yeah,
From your opinion, what would be a good alternative?
I produce more food. Yeah,
All
produce
right.
more food. When I say food, don't think about rice only. There are so many other things that we can produce of higher value that could help, increase the income of the nation. So I see another question.
Yeah.
Emergence of lots of local farmers and agri-tech companies on the rise. Yeah, I mean, this is what we need, really. This is not only to help diversify the kind of crops that we produce, but to help add value.
Mm.
You need agropreneurs. Farming, there's only a certain amount of margin for farming. If you look at the whole value chain, the wealth is not only in farming but also in other stages of the supply of value chain. So this is where we want agropreneurs to come in, to create more output out of it and to add value. And moving forward, what the Malaysian government is doing, the Malaysian government is pushing towards increasing productivity through modernization, one of which, yeah, through modernization of agriculture,
But you,
applying technologies that
but you
will.
can do so much. But you can do so much when it comes to technology. I mean, when you talk about palm oil, the pickers still have to use the manual labor because there's no machinery to do the harvesting of the fruits because they have tried it a couple of years ago. It fails miserably.
There are many. See, the thing is, the trees, they grow very tall, makes it very difficult for you to harvest. But with clever genetic breeding, don't you think we should start, creating dwarf trees instead of taller trees?
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Now, you we see, this is how economics work. Yeah, labor is obviously a lot cheaper than capital, so this is why we resorted to labor, but it doesn't
Mm,
last long.
yeah.
Now that labor is becoming scarce and more expensive, then we need to think of alternatives, and we start, when it's expensive, you start to think a bit more, and think of a better way, or start using equipment to help you out. There's exoskeletal robots and so on that could help you harvest, right? I'm very sure there must be. Maybe right now you're thinking that it's very expensive, but over time it's going to be a lot cheaper than before. I worked on a project with MIMOS once, looking at sensor technology in the oil palm. This is to produce the seeds, yeah. So to produce seeds, they rely on manual pollination. Yeah, they need to manually pollinate the flowers, yeah. So to do that, they have to go up the trees and see, okay, is this the right time to do it? They cover the bunch, and they have to look into there's a small cut that we can see, okay, this is the right time, and they will manually, they don't rely on weevils to do that,
Okay.
or wind. They have to manually do that because you're talking about producing breeds, yeah. So they will manually pollinate. So Mimos came out with this technology, sensor. Sensor will give you the humidity, temperature reading in the bag. So they hypothesized that certain humidity and temperature, that was the right time for pollination. So instead of going every day looking at the flower, trying to figure out where's the best time to pollinate, you just see the sensor reading. When the sensor says, okay, this is the right time for you to go and check, you go and check, and most likely you are able to pollinate. That will optimize the whole process. Okay, and we did the experiment, and we wanted to see whether it produces better fruit bunches for that.
Yeah.
Now, at that time, the sensor was 100 ringgit per piece.
Okay.
And that was in 2010, 2000, yeah, 2000, no, 2009. Today, maybe it's only 1 ringgit or 2 ringgit. Maybe it's more applicable today because it is a lot cheaper to use technology today than before.
All right. I see your point. I think the point that you want to the point you make just now is that when something when you are hit with the problem, then you will find new ways of doing it. It's just like what you were saying just now. The people innovate because we got no choice. It's just like that pandemic, for example. Because of this pandemic, a lot of companies looking for new way out. And
See,
actually, sorry, go ahead.
yeah, you're right. This pandemic, actually, there's a lot of blessings in disguise, if you ask me.
Yeah.
Uh, you live in a house. A lot of Malaysians rely on house helpers, yeah, from Indonesia, maybe the Philippines, to come and stay. You have stay-at-home house helpers, or to help you out with household chores. But when it becomes very expensive not only to hire, but opportunity cost. You have a stranger living with you in a house. It's not very comfortable. You need an extra room, and so on. So it gets more expensive. Big houses are getting more and more expensive. So you don't really have a choice. You go to advanced countries, they don't have house helpers or stay-at-home house helpers. Even the ones that comes occasionally is also considered a luxury. They do everything themselves. Now, to actually do that, you need the help of a lot of apparatuses, right? You need a dishwasher. You need of course you have a washing machine. You need a dryer. With the help of all these advanced machine and things, you have robotic vacuum cleaner now that will make chores a lot easier than before. So that is investing in it, just like agriculture. You know, when you can get cheap labor from Indonesia, you don't really care about buying all these machines. But when it's difficult to get cheap labor from Indonesia, then you start investing in all these machines. You know, there are agriculture sector. There are sectors in Malaysia that are capital intensive, like poultry production.
Mm.
Poultry production is very capital intensive. They have the closed house system for poultry now. They don't have so many people managing the chicken houses or coops.
Okay.
Yeah, not many people because it's mechanized, and you want that, but of course it's very expensive. But poultry industry is one agriculture industry that has what we call advanced with the help of technology because they have invested a lot of capital into technology.
So, okay, Dr. Shaufique, we have come to the end of our our session. It was just very heated up. I mean, just like warm up, and then now we're going to shut down again. But what I'm saying here is that uh, in few minutes, uh, if you were to uh, in your position, how you see the agriculture sector in Malaysia is going to be post-pandemic and maybe for over the next 3 to 4 years? How does it going to be? What is the landscape like?
I mean, if you actually the pandemic helped speed up a lot of things in Malaysian agriculture. You know, there are people who lost money, but the pandemic forces a lot of people to try new things like selling direct to because there's markets are not open. So how do you push your produce? You have to sell direct. Now this is when they start looking into Shopee, Lazada, Facebook, and whatnot. You
Yeah,
know, so this is to me some kind of a progress. And this probably will not happen if we did not have COVID 19.
yeah, true, true.
Okay, and the Malaysian government realizes the importance of modernizing the agriculture sector. There are a lot of efforts going into that. The government also realized that it is very important to create agropreneurs, and there are concentrated efforts in creating these people. There are more and more young people interested in agriculture today.
Mm.
It's 3D, you know, dirty, dangerous, and what? Dirty, dangerous, and dangerous, dirty, and what is the other one? I can't remember. But it's not very glamorous, right? But now with the use of technology, you know, advanced machinery, you can see more and more young people getting interested in agriculture. If you get more of that, you see a bright future of this industry in Malaysia.
I see. Yeah, you are right. I see a lot of young people now going into agriculture because I mean the pandemic does accelerate to a certain degree because of the loss of job or something like that. So they are going back to the people are going back to the basics, and then we're going back to earth. Work on investing on earth, and what is happening now is that I've seen a lot of Facebook people are trying to go because they are looking at a different marketplace now. Instead of the market, they go into the virtual market where they are selling all those cucumber, chili, and all those things kan, during the pandemic.
You notice that, right?
Yeah, yeah.
There's a saying in Bahasa Melayu, you know, balik kampung tanam jagung. You know, when you
Correct.
things do not work out, you go home and start planting something.
What
but
is
not.
happening?
But let me caution you, okay? You cannot just. There are people who decided to go into agriculture because they don't have a choice. Usually, the ones that are successful are not the ones that go into agriculture out of desperation. The ones that are really interested and believe that there is a lot of value to be created in this sector.
Because of that 3D that you have mentioned just now, is it? So that means
It's
you
no
have
longer 3D now because of the use of technology and equipment. It can be pretty cool.
So you have to be really determined to go into agriculture.
Yes,
Ah,
but I've seen a lot of success. Look at Farm Fresh.
ah,
They started small. Now they are the largest market player in Malaysia. We've done some work with them. I mean, we did some work with them before. That was my consultancy with the agro food subsidiary of Kazana. Looking at, they wanted to diversify. I mean, I would say expand, not diversify, expand to Australia. When we secure a farm in Melbourne, near Melbourne. Yeah, we looked into that. So yeah, I mean, this is such a huge topic. It definitely can go on and on and on and talk about it. So many things to unravel and uncover. I'm still. That's why I say I'm no expert. I mean, there's so many things to learn. There's so many things that I don't know, and I'm still learning a lot of things. After all, I do not have a basic degree in agriculture.
ah.
Usually, the conventional agriculture economies, they were trained in agriculture, meaning that the first degree was in horticulture or agronomy or something like that.
All right,
I
Dr.
think,
Shafiq, that's
yeah, it's
the.
already 1 o'clock, so time's up, I guess.
Thank you for spending time with us at this wee hour in the morning on Sunday.
Yeah,
So
it's not
uh,
a common
please
thing to
have a
do
good
for
rest.
me.
Yeah, please have a good rest because I believe you have a lecture tomorrow at 9 a.m. I wish you all the best and have a blessed Sunday. Catch up with you again. Yeah.
Right.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for staying with us, and we do apologize for the poor audio quality. Not say a short period, almost half of the session because of the connectivity on the guest side. Yeah, so some of the key takeaways now is that the agriculture is no longer something that is dirty and dangerous, and he forgot another D, but it's becoming with the technology is becoming something that is cool. Yeah, and many young people are going into agriculture, and maybe that is the landscape that we are going to look at. And he say it's not just about food, but it's about the whole value chain of the industry and the sectors. Yeah, that is affecting within the whole agriculture setting. And as part of the initiatives of the post-pandemic, where we are going into revisiting, yeah, revisiting what can be done, yeah, what can be done for the nation. And I believe Dr. Shaufique is also sitting in the council for the EPU, for the Economic Planning Unit at Prime Minister's Department at federal level and also at the state level here in Selangor. Yeah, so thank you very much for spending with us. And as usual, although the borders are opening up and a lot of people are traveling, crossing the borders, but never, 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 never let your guards down. Yeah, please be aware of your surrounding. Yeah, never let your guards down, and please follow the SOP as required by the agencies or recommended by the authorities. And please follow the advice from the KKM and all those things, because there are a lot of things flying on the social media about what is good, what's not good. So please follow what is the reliable news. Use those reliable news, and we follow what is necessary, especially when we have kids, small kids below 12 years old, that we are going to have. And we bringing them along in all over the place during this crossing of the borders. And please do take care, because our kids are the future of the nation. And with that, I bid you a very good morning, and catch up with you next week with issues on branding and how branding affects project leaders and project management. With that, I bid you farewell, and I'll see you next week. Thank you very much for being with us.
Thank you, everyone.